welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle, I'm the Intrepid Guide and I talk about languages and travel. So if that interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and watch out for more videos that I post in the future. Today I'm here and I'm talking about your first language learning lesson. Now if you saw my last video on how to learn a language with a full-time job, you'll know just how much I love language classes. They're one of the best and most fun ways to learn a language, but there's very little information out there on what to expect in your first language class. So today I'm here and I'm going to be sharing with you some top tips and some insider details on what to expect and how to prepare for your first language learning class. So let's get into it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love language learning classes. I love how sociable they are. I love how fun they are. They keep me accountable as well, which sometimes I really need when I have a full-time job. But I really love the social aspect because I've made some lifelong friends going to language classes. In all the classes I've ever done, I've made lifelong friends. And when I was learning Italian in particular, I made some friends with some girls, and every year, even though we live in different parts of the world, we come together and we go on a girls trip together. So you never know who you're going to meet in your language class. So it's your first day of your language class and you're probably feeling a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, trying to get to the school on time, finding your classroom, wondering what the teacher's going to be like and even the students. But don't worry, by the time you get there, you'll understand that there was nothing to really worry about. So one of the things I wanted to share with you is the format of the class. So the teacher will actually start to talk to you in the target language right off the bat. So they might talk to you in maybe English for the first 5 minutes while they do the names on the list and the roll call. But after that, they're going to jump straight into the language. But don't worry, they break everything down into bite-sized chunks so you do understand. They speak slowly, they use lots of gestures, and if you don't understand, which, at points you won't, they will recognize this and then they'll start again and they'll use different vocabulary so you do understand. And then if you really struggle, then they'll default to English and they'll give you some key words in English. Every teacher is very different in this aspect, but in all my experience when I've learned Italian, French, Afrikaans and now Norwegian, the teacher has always gone straight into the target language, and it's surprising actually how much you know and how much you're able to understand. The teachers are very good at choosing just the right words so you do understand. But beyond this, it's actually a really great exercise to start listening to the language right off the bat and conduct every lesson just listening to the language. It helps your ear to get attuned to the language, and it's the best way to make the most of your 2-hour lesson or whatever the duration of your class is. So now that the first language class has started, what are you going to be learning? Well, the format of any first language learning class is pretty similar. The teacher will introduce themselves to you in the target language and then they'll hand it over to you for your turn. And they'll usually put phrases up on the board that you can then use to practice with, and usually with your partner who's sitting next to you, you can have little mini conversations. So you'll learn to say things like, my name is, I come from, and I live in. And beyond that, to help you not default into English, the teacher will actually give you some phrases that you can use when you are struggling. So you'll be able to say things like, I don't understand, or could you repeat that again, or what does X mean, or how do I say X in English, how do you say X in your target language. But this is really great practice for you to sort of get used to speaking the language as well. Beyond that, once you do your little introductions, then the teacher will probably give you some questions as well, so you can have conversations. So you can say, my name is Michelle, what is your name? I'm from Australia, where are you from? And then beyond that, it's really up to the teacher to decide what you'll learn next, but normally you'll start learning the present tense. So what should you bring to your first class? Well, at the time that you book the course, you'll probably receive an email or the person over the phone will tell you what textbooks you need to buy. But don't worry if you can't buy these ahead of the class. Sometimes it's just not possible. Maybe you can't get to the bookstore in time. Maybe they've sold out. But don't worry about that because the teacher is always prepared and they'll usually have a printout of everything that you need so you can use that in the classroom. And then you can worry about getting the textbook for the following class. But other than that, bring some water, bring a pad, a pen, pencil if you prefer, and that's basically all you need. So the first first language class is always about building rapport. That's why the teachers usually focus on introductions. But a little top tip from me, I always find that actually you can break the ice before you officially break the ice. And that's by talking to the other students in the class before the actual class begins. So you're probably going to get there really early, and so are the other students. And while you're sitting there sort of looking around and getting all your bits and pieces out ready for the lesson to start, I find this is a really nice way to start talking to the class, finding out, from the other students why they're there, a little bit about their history, and this just makes it a little bit easier for those little conversations that you do eventually have when the teacher comes in. So it's the end of the class and you're probably going to get some homework, but don't worry, this is nothing to dread. It's actually quite fun and it doesn't take too long to complete either. Well, usually it doesn't. And you basically probably just cover everything that you've learnt in the class. So this gives you the opportunity to go back in your own time and just revise all the things that you've learnt. You may want to put your notes into a Google Doc that you can use offline when you're traveling, and then you can also put your vocabulary into Quizlet and you can revise those words as well, so you make sure that you've remembered them. So the duration of the class usually depends on the school itself, but for my Norwegian classes at Cactus Language School, they go for 2 hours. They don't usually have a break in those just because 2 hours is quite short, but we're all adults. If you need to go to the toilet, you gotta go and you just pop out, and that's no issue with the teacher whatsoever. For the intensive classes where you're spending 3 or 4 hours in the class, then obviously they'll weave in a little bit of a short break, so about 10 minutes or so, and that gives you just enough time to maybe go outside, get some fresh air, go to the toilet, then come back in. The size of the classes also vary. I've never been in a class that's had more than, say, 10 to 15 students. This will depend on the size of the school as well, and obviously the popularity of the language. So now that you know how it works, if you're interested in attending your own language learning class, then maybe you should check out the school that I go to, which is Cactus Language School. They're based in the UK, they've got multiple locations around the country. I go to the school in London, and they also organise study abroad trips, which I'll be doing later this year. They're organising a trip for me to go to Trondheim, where I'll be doing intensive language classes in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'll have time to be a tourist. So if you want to find out more about Cactus Language School, I put a link down in the description below, so make sure you go and check it out. Well, that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video about what to expect in your first language class. If you have, leave a nice big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and turn on those notifications. And don't go away just yet, make sure you check out my other videos as well, especially on how to learn a language with a full-time job. If you have any questions whatsoever about the language classes that I go to, about Cactus, or about the study holiday I'm going on, just leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. And until next time, ha det bra, ciao, bye!